Chapter 8, Objects and Classes, Part 6. So let's talk about problem solving and about how we can use objects. It's useful to think about different scenarios and try to think through how you would solve them. Common patterns for designing instance variables: you might want to keep a total, you might want to count something that happens, you might want to collect or accumulate values, you might want to manage object properties, model objects with distinct states, or describe the position of an object. I like to think about games. Think about a game board and the different objects that you might have, the different data that you might have associated with playing a game. Like Connect 4, you drop those little tokens into the game board, and they have a position inside that game board. So let's take a look at keeping a total. Cash register wants us to accumulate a price. It wants us to figure out what is the total price. You've seen a couple of different implementations of cash register throughout this chapter, and this particular implementation does not keep a count of the items. It's just keeping a total price. So examples in keeping a total might be this example, the cash register. It might also be a bank account balance. It might also be the level of gas in a fuel tank. Any one of those types of accumulation of student test scores, total points earned, things like that. The variables needed would be, you'd need a variable for your total. Methods, you'd have to have the ability to add to that total. You'd have to have the ability to clear that total and to get or return that total. Not necessarily subtract from the total. And think about that and how you might do data validation to assure that you don't get bogus information inside your total. You can also count events that happen, such as a cash register, items in a cash register, a bank transaction fee. The variable you'll need would be a count. You'll need to be able to add, clear, or optional get that value of the count. We can also collect values, such as in a multiple choice question or a shopping cart. We might store the values in an array or an array list. We might need a constructor to initialize our array to an empty collection, and then the ability to add and possibly the ability to print or return. We can also manage properties such as student name and ID. We need a constructor to set it to a unique value, and then the ability to get and set that property. We can also manage states such as somewhat hungry, very hungry, not hungry for a fish. The fish could eat or move. And finally, a position in a game board, such as a bug on a grid, or storing values, a row, a column, a direction, or a speed.